Hello everybody, welcome to the Cafe of Knowledge, and I'm so glad y'all are back today. One thing that we did last week, we did a review, and I'm going to go right into it. Please click, subscribe, please, and hit the like button. Last week we did review our week 5 through week 8. So we reviewed the whole thing of week 5 through week 8 of inventory. And we completed week 8 of inventory. Remember, I was telling y'all last week that we are done with the counting process of inventory. We are done with the counting process, so now we are just strictly doing tracking, auditing, budgeting. We're going to start doing things like that. And remember, last week I told everyone that we was going to focus on the cash register, the cashiers and the cash register. I'm going to also touch on how to count the liquor as well. Okay, so welcome to your finishing process of inventory, and then welcome to your process of going into your registers and how to pinpoint the registers and what to know what to look for, how to count it, and things like that. So just wanted to say congratulations to everybody who completed the inventory chapter, which had 8 weeks in it, and it went through week 1 all the way to week 8. So congratulations, congratulations to everyone who went through the entire process. And if you went through the entire process, you really know what you are doing now for is inventory. You shouldn't have any problems. It doesn't matter if you go working in a grocery store, a retail store, if you working in a salon, or if you open up your own lawn care business, if you're working at the airport, it doesn't matter. Wherever you work at, auto parts store, you would be able to count and track inventory. You should have no problem, and you should be very good at it. And the more you practice it and the more you do it, the more you will be very, very good at it. Okay, so we are done with that process, and now I'm just showing you kind of the register and the basics of keeping your inventory executed to the top level. Okay, so let's start with the cash register. Remember, I was telling everybody that your cash register is the most important thing in your store. That's how you keep up with your money. That's how you keep up with what you're selling. That's how you keep up with everything, how well everything is moving in your store and what's not moving so well in your store. All of this goes through the cash register. And the cash register is a very, very important part, because you have money in it. You have the cashiers that's operating the money. And let's go into the cashiers for a minute. Excuse me. The cashiers, they have a very important role to play when they are working on the cash register. Okay? They have a very big responsibility. They have to handle the cash. They have to handle credit cards. You know, they have to make sure they're giving good customer service. They have to make sure that they're doing their transactions accurately, which means they are scanning or punching in the right things and the right amount. They just have to maintain accurate records and safeguarding that business cash. Okay? Safeguarding that cash. So the cashier really has a lot on their plate, and a lot of people don't realize that a cashier has all these things and all these responsibilities that falls on them. Okay? They have to make sure all items are scanned. You have some businesses that have a scanner, and you have some businesses have a scanner where you can just scan through it, scan the items and doop, doop, doop. They have scanners. And then you have some that have a handle scanner that they can just squeeze the trigger, and then it's boop, boop, boop. They can do it like that. Then you have some registers, they don't have scanners. They just punch in the price of what it is, and they have to do it like that because they don't have a scanner, or it's just the cash register with no scanner. So they have to punch in the price and whatever it is. So a cashier does have a lot of responsibility. And on top of that, they have to make sure they're giving back the correct change. They have to make sure they're bringing in the correct amount of money. It's just a lot on their plate. A cashier have to have good mathematical skills. They also have to be able to know how to count off their head just in case the register go down or the computer go down or whatever. They do have to have good customer service skills as well. Because they how you doing, and they have to have a smile, and whenever a customer needs help, they have to be right there to help that person. They also take on customer complaints. If a customer has a complaint about something, usually they'll try to help out with that. If a customer is trying to find a certain item, the cashier kind of direct them to where the item is at. They have to also bag your items, or box your items up. They have to do all these things. Maintain a clean work area to make, they have to wipe off the areas that people come and sit things down. They have to make sure they keep that sanitized and clean, and the register sanitized and clean. They have a lot of responsibility, and they are dealing with a large amount of money, depending on how large the store is, or how large the business is. And like I said, if you're running your own business or you're working for someone, a cashier has to kind of have all these responsibilities on them. And it's also good for a cashier to know about inventory. That's what I did when I was running all my stores. I made sure my cashiers knew about inventory. They knew how to do inventory, because that way the cashier would really have in mind how important that cash register is, how important the money is, how important that it is that they ring up everything, how important accuracy is when they are operating the register. So it's very good for a cashier to know inventory as well, because then they have a better understanding of how to execute that cash register in the most accurate way. Okay? It's very important to them then. They have a different mindset of the whole business of the store. And they make sure, when they understand about inventory, they make sure that they don't let nothing slide, nothing slip. They're on top of everything, and they're doing their job to the best of their ability. Okay? So I always tell people that a cashier should also know inventory. So if you're in the cashier business of anything like that, you might want to refer back to my videos week 1 all the way through week 8. That way, not only do you know how to run a register, you also know how to do inventory, and you also know the importance of inventory, budgeting, finance, and things like that. Okay? So that's the thing about a cashier. So that's very helpful if a cashier do know inventory. Okay? it's very important that a cashier has integrity and honesty, because they're dealing with so much money, and they're dealing with people's credit cards, and they're dealing with checks that people give them. They're dealing with a lot that takes a lot of honesty. And so that's one thing, another thing rather, that a cashier do need. They are dealing with all the company assets. They're dealing with everything that has to be sold. They're dealing with it. And they're dealing with a lot of money. And they're giving back money, and they're receiving money. So the integrity and the honesty is at the top. That's what a cashier needs. Okay? To be a good cashier and to know that the business is bringing in everything it's supposed to bring in, and is selling everything that it's supposed to sell, and you don't have to worry about customers calling and saying they was cheated out of something, or charged the credit card 2-3 times, or somebody's been charging off their credit card. That cashier has to have a lot of honesty and integrity, okay? And they have to be very reliable with good work ethics, okay? They have to be very reliable, because when a cashier doesn't come to work, then someone else, like the manager, or maybe they can call in somebody and run the cash register. But the thing about the cash register, you have to have someone in that spot. That's not a position that people can slide with, saying, well, okay, that person's not here today, we could do without that person today. No, not with a register, not with a cashier. You can't do that. So with a cashier that's a person that has to be very reliable, that somebody can depend on to be there, kind of all the time, with not a lot of call-ins, and, not a lot of disappear and move away from the station. That cashier has to be very reliable, okay? So that's how come a lot of people do, businesses do background checks, things like that, on cashiers. And they do it on just about all employees as well. But the cashier, they really have to do a thorough on a cashier, because a cashier has a lot of responsibilities and is dealing with a lot of money, okay? Cashiers are basically responsible for the day-to-day operations. They are the one that's keeping the money flowing through the business and having the money flowing in and out of the business, while everybody else is probably stocking the place or whatever. And that's another thing. If you are a stocker, or if whatever you are, you can still learn this inventory, and you can move up the ladder and become very, very successful and make more money than what you're already making. That's just up to the people in general. But this inventory can help you move and bring in more money than you possibly couldn't understand. It really does. It brings you in bonuses. It brings you in your regular checks. It brings you all these different perks that comes with, if you have good numbers, and if your store is doing good, or if you're running your inventory good, you get a lot of bonuses, and you get a lot of extra, extra checks with bonus, and you have your incentives, and then you have your regular check. It's very good. It's a very good profession to be in and to know. So a cashier, let's talk about scanning. Like when a cashier scans, and the register, let's say the register, it scans the item. When the business have a scanner, that scanner normally tells the computer what is being sold at that time. What is being sold. It gives the identity of that item, and it gives the price of that item. Okay? That's what a scanner does. It breaks it down. So if you take, say, some milk across the scanner, it's going to record the UPC number. It's also going to record what type of milk it is. And then it's also going to record the price of that milk. So the scanner breaks all that down, and it sends that information to the main computer, which is in the back of a business. It's probably in the back office or something like that. But it's everything that scans on that computer. It keeps the memory inside of that register, but it also sends it to your back office computer. That's how you know, as an inventory person, or in management, if you're an assistant manager or you're a shift leader, the general manager or the district manager, whatever, that's what lets all of you know what was sold. Because that register will put it in the back office and keep it in the register. And it'll be calculating, and that's when you can look at your register tape, and it'll tell you what was sold for that day. So that's how an inventory person knows at the end of the week when they do inventory and they pull up what was sold. That's because the register has recorded everything that was sold. So that's the difference between the scanner. The scanner breaks that item down specifically. Let's say if you sold some apples, a bag of apples, and it goes across that scanner, it's going to say 5-pound bag apples. It's going to give a description, and then it's going to have UPC number down. This is how it's going to look on the register tape. And then it's going to have the UPC number down there. And then it's going to have the price. So if you notice, anytime you go shopping and you pay for your items and you get your receipt, if you look on that receipt tells everything that you bought. And then you will see a UPC number going up under there, that item, and then it's going to have the price of that item. And then each item is going to have the same thing. And each item have different UPC numbers. And it also tells you exactly what you bought and exactly how much it costs. And then it will have the tax on there. And then it will tell you the amount that you paid for your purchases. Okay? For every item, it'll tell you how much you paid. So that's exactly that same receipt that a customer takes or you take after you buy things is the same receipt that be saved inside of that business computer. And it's telling them everything that's sold. It's telling them everything that's sold in that store. Okay? So that same receipt that you have, the company also have inside the computer or inside the register. Okay, and we already talked about that, about at the end of the day, you do a register report, and then everything will come up. Okay, so that's how that works. So so that's the difference between like the scanning part. Now, for businesses who don't have a scanner register, you might have a small businesses that just starting out. Or, maybe it's a hair salon place or a barber shop or something, and they don't have scanner computers. They just have a register. Just a register, and that's it. And the register, you would have to just punch in what you get or what's being sold. Okay? So, let's say if it's just a register, and say you sold shampoo and you don't have a scanner. And you sold shampoo, and the shampoo is like $2. Well, you would then have to hit $2 on the register, and then look for your shampoo button, and then you would hit shampoo, and then it would calculate. So it would just say $2 shampoo. And let's say that you bought some bananas, and then you would say, okay, bananas $4, and then you would hit banana. And sometimes the register only have like, remember our categories, bananas is what? A produce. Okay? So sometimes the register, it don't have enough buttons to put everything that's in the store on the computer. You know, it don't have enough buttons to say, okay, milk, orange juice, Coca-Cola, bread. It doesn't have enough buttons for all those items to be put in there. So some businesses just have their register where it just have produce. You have a produce button. Then it'll have accessory. It'll have accessory button. Accessories mean things like earrings, bracelets, rings, jewelry, accessories, things like that. Everybody know all their departments because we've already talked about this in the previous weeks. And if you don't know, you might want to refer back to the other videos, because inventory videos, because it will let you know different categories that we have. Okay, so your cash register, if you just have a plain cash register and it's not attached to a scanner, you're just using the register, most likely you will have a button for whatever you're selling. Okay, if you're in the food industry, it'll have produce, accessories, soda, food. It'll have a button for food. That means anything that a person can eat, you ring it up under food. Anytime people buy anything that's accessory, you'll put the price, ring it up as accessory. If anybody buy anything that's a fruit, you will ring it up and then they hit the fruit button. Okay? If they buy Coca-Cola, soda, whatever, you would just hit whatever, how much it costs, and then hit soda. That's how that goes. Okay? And if it just goes like that. You know, and then they just have a certain category for each item. Soda, food, juice, accessories, HBA. HBA means things like shampoo, things like that. And if you're in a small business and all y'all do is sell jewelry, you're in a jewelry store, and say they don't have a scanner, then in the jewelry store, it'll have, your register will have a button that say rings, necklace, chokers, earrings. It'll have those buttons. You would just have to put the price of whatever it is they're buying and hit whatever item it is they are buying. So if they're buying a ring, you would say $200 and hit the ring button. Okay? That's how that goes. That's how the register is ran and operated. So when a business have a register or they buy a register, it's a book that comes with all registers and all computers, but it's a book that comes with the register, and it tells you how to program your register the way you want it programmed. Okay? So if you are running inside, if you're in a store that's just a jewelry store, you will program that cash register to jewelry. You will make a button for rings. That book will tell you how to do this. Make the button for different items. For different items. Rings, bracelet, chokers, earrings. It'll have nose rings. It'll have all that on that computer. Okay, and it'll tell you how to program that. And then if you are in a say you run in a barber shop, you know, everybody should have a register inside of their business. And if you're running a barber shop or work in a barber shop or something like that, you'll have it. You can have a button for fades. You can have a button for haircuts. Have a button for hair braids. Have a button for hair waves. Have a button for hair wigs. You can have a button for all that. And then you can program your computer to do that. And then whenever you sell that certain thing, or whenever you do a cut or do a hairstyle or do a whatever, you would hit the how much it costs for that, and then hit that item that you did on the hairstyle, and then you put it inside your register. But that shows you how much you are cutting, how much wigs you're selling, how much shampoo you're probably selling, how much curls you're doing, it just how much, say if they doing like the dreadlocks or whatever, it tells you that. If somebody comes in for a set and a wash and a condition, there's a button for that, and then you'll hit that. But then it will tell you how much of each thing you are doing each week. And then it also, you will know how much money is made off of each one of them. And then it would also tell you how popular a certain thing is in your barbershop or your salon or your hair store. It'll tell you what's the popular item that's selling. Because the more you sell of something, or the more you do of something, or the more you bringing in money of something, that shows you that particular thing is a top priority or a top request. Okay? So that cash register is very important in every areas of any type of business. Okay? So just know that. So that's the difference if you just have a register that doesn't have a scanner and you have to punch it in. That's what you do. $2 fruit. And then it calculate fruit. Even just long as it's any type of fruit, you use the fruit button. As long as it's accessory, you use the accessory button. As long as it's food, you use the food button. Okay? If somebody come in the store and they buying bread and they're, or they're buying potato chips or something like that, that would go up under food. So you would hit food unless they have a button for potato chips. Okay? And then you would hit how much it costs potato chips. But if they don't have that, that will go in the category up under food. Okay? So that cash register is a lot. Okay? So like I said, a cash register has a lot of different categories on it. And if somebody buys, say, a radio, and you don't have a scanner, it will go under electrical, because that's what a radio is. It's electric. Anything that has to be plugged in or use batteries, it's electrical. So if they come in and they buy a little radio, that will go up under electrical. Okay? If they come in and then they buy a washing machine, it will be electrical. It will go up under the electrical button. Okay? So you have a cash register have different categories. And that's because you know that when we was doing inventory week 1 through 8, all of our items was in categories. We had the produce department. We had the soda department. We had the food department. We had the accessory department. We had the HBA department. We had all these. We had the pet department. We had the dairy department. We had all these different departments because the different items go in different departments. So let me tell you about, you have an accessory department, you have an apparel department. Apparel means clothes. Okay? Anything that you put on, is apparel. That's how they use in the business world. It could be another word for it. I don't know, but the main word that they use on registers and things be apparel. So On your register, you might have accessory button. That means for your earrings, your rings, what we talked about. Your apparel is your clothes. It might have a button for books. If you're selling book, if you sell a book, you'll put how much it is and you'll hit the book button. Okay? Electrical, we talked about that. Furniture, like anything like a chair or a mattress or anything like that, that's furniture. You have a shoe department. You'll have a produce department, dairy department, wares department. They call wares department is WARES. Wares department means like when you are buying forks, spoons, can openers. Those are plates, that you eat out of. Pots, pans. Those are considered wares. That's what they call it, wares, okay? Then you have a meat department. You'll have all these. Then, sometimes some registers have a charity button when your cashier tell you, say, hey, would you like to donate to the pet charity? And you say yeah or no, and if you say yeah, I give $1, and then they'll put the dollar in there, or either whatever, or put it in a can or whatever, but they would hit $1 and then charity button. Okay, so that's how they go. So these stores keep up with everything like that. They're also during the holidays. You will be using the holiday ointment button. During the holidays, you buy a lot of Christmas trees, ornaments, things like that. And they will have that button on the register. It would be like holiday ornaments. And then you would have to say $10 holiday ornaments. You know what I'm saying? During the holiday. And they usually just keep it at holiday ornaments instead of saying a button saying Christmas, then Easter, then Thanksgiving, and then this. To keep from changing all those buttons, that button just might say holiday ornaments. And that everything that's pertaining holidays that people buy for the holidays is Christmas trees, little Christmas balls, or Christmas lights, or Thanksgiving turkey stands and Thanksgiving turkey lights and all that. All of that will go up under the holiday button. Okay? Unless your business tell you otherwise. Okay? So that's the difference. So you have all these categories on your register. And when you have all these categories in your register, every time something is sold, it'll go into that area it's supposed to be in. And so when you get ready to run your tape, at the end of the day, when it's time for that cashier to get off of work, then you would run that register tape, and then you can see what was sold and how much was sold. Okay? So I'm going to give you an example. Your cashier she's worked an 8-hour day, and she's just been ringing up things for 8 hours. Now it's time for that cashier to go home. And when that cashier gets ready to go home, then the management will come over and sign her out of that register, and then hit a report and say cashier journal tape. That's what it'll have. Cashier journal tape. That's what it's called. Cashier journal tape. You'll hit that button, and that register will start spitting out all these receipts and all these things of what that cashier sold during her 8-hour shift. It would break it down. It'll break down everything that person sold the whole 8 hours they was on that register. And then, at the end of that tape, It'll tell you how much money should be in that cashier drawer. Okay? Now, a cashier drawer always start off with $200. That's the majority of the time. We don't know what some of these other businesses are doing, but the majority of businesses start their register off with $200, meaning they'll have $200 inside of their drawer. When that cashier comes to work, they give her a cashier drawer. She gets that cashier drawer, and that cashier drawer usually have $200 in it. And what that cashier will do is count it first to make sure that it's $200. And if it's $200, then she said okay, and she signs off that okay, yeah, it's $200 in here, and then she puts it in the cash register, close the cash register up, and gets ready for business. And the $200 is in that cash register at all times, because they use that money to keep giving out change to people. They'll have pennies, nickels, quarters, and dimes in change. And then they'll have 1s, 5s, 10s, and 20. But all of that, the pennies and the quarters, everything, and the dollars should add up to $200. And that's how they start a cashier off with her drawer. That way, if somebody comes in and buys something and she have to give them change, she got it in the drawer. Okay? So it starts off, that cash register drawer starts off with $200. And at the end of their shift, they have to have whatever that register tape say that they supposed to have in their drawer. For example, if that cash register sold $600 worth of things during her shift, that register should have $800 in it. Because see, $200 was already what she started with. And then it should be $600 after that. So that's what most businesses do after they close out that cashier and it's time for them to go home, and they run that journal tape, and the journal tape will tell them how much money should be inside of that drawer. Okay? They'll say that cashier sold $600 worth of items. So you take the $200 away. You count out the $200 and that's it. And then everything else that you count should add up to the $600 that cashier sold. That's how much money she made on her shift. Okay, so that's how that goes. So I'm going to give you an example of how a journal tape looks. And I'm going to explain it while I have it up here. And you can take a screenshot of it as well. But let's say you see that says Cashier A. And it says Cashier A. And, hold on. Yeah. It says Cashier A. And then it tells you that accessories, she made like $3,500. Apparel, she made $200. And then, well, books, she made $200. Accessories, she made $3,000 and something. But it goes down the line like that. Okay? But that's how it looked. Okay? And it'll say, ornament, you see the holiday ornament, she made $300. And then you'll see the shoes made $900. And then you'll see the furniture made $900. Then you'll see electrical, she made $2,000. Okay? And then you'll see where it has down there charity. She was able, right here, charity, she was able to get people to donate $50. And then produce, she sold the $500 in produce. And then she sold $537.20 in dairy. Then in meat, she sold $700. And then in wares, which is your pots, pans, plates, forks, knives, she sold $300 worth. And then sales tax, she bought in $1,128. and 72 cents. This is how journal tape looks at the end of their shift. It tells what all they did for that day. Okay? And then you'll see it has voids. Voids means that she rung up something, but then the people say, nah, I don't want that. And then you have to take that item off. So you know when you go into the store and then you ring something up, and then somebody say, now take that off because I don't have enough money for that. And then the cashier takes it off. Well, even when she takes it off, the register shows that she took it off. Okay? And then it says returns. Returns, $15. Means when people return items. They return $15 worth of items. Then you'll see credit cards. So people use credit cards up to $1,000. Meaning that her credit card transactions equals up to $1,000. Then you'll see checks. People wrote checks. And she got $500 worth of checks inside the register. Okay? And the total amount is, if you look at the sales tax, when it was added, everything that cashier sold that day, plus the tax equals to $12,415.92. Okay? And then, if you add the void when they took out, then you have to minus that from the $12,000. And then it says returns, $15. You have to minus that from the $12,000. And then if they're using credit cards, that's not going to be in the cash, because credit cards is not cash. So you have to minus that $1,000 out of there. And checks, you can't count that as the cash in the drawer, so you'll have to minus $500. Even though you know you got $500 worth of checks in the drawer and $1,000 worth of credit card transactions, it's still not cash. So that's why those parentheses is subtracting all of that from them. And what it should be is 10,000. As you see, it should be $10,830 inside that cash register drawer. And that's when you count that cash register drawer. So take a screenshot of that. And that's when you count that cash register drawer. And you take the $200 out that you know that cashier started with, and everything, all the money left in that drawer should add up to that $10,830.92. Okay? And that's how it goes. All right? And that's how you know what was sold inside of that business. Because the register tape will show you that. Okay? It will show you that. So that's how that goes. And on the other side, so say if you had one cash register that she was doing her thing, that's the one that made the 12,000 something. Then you had, after she gets off of work, then another cashier comes in. Okay, and take her place and say she sells the same thing. And this is the second cashier. Okay, so you notice that it says cashier A, cashier B, cashier, I got it like that. It says cashier A, cashier A was the first one. This is cashier B. And you see it's the same thing. It has her name up there at the top, which is Vet Jones. That's the cashier. Then it'll have a cashier number, which is 002. Then it'll start off telling you how much that person sold all day long. So take a screenshot of that. And that's how it goes. It's telling you how much accessories that cashier sold for that day. Tells you how much apparel that cashier sold all day. And it'll also tell you how much books that cashier sold all day. Okay? and it just tells you all that. Okay, and so her sales at the end of the day was $17,050. Okay, so that's how that goes, y'all. That's how that goes. Okay, and then you'll see how it got for voids, and then how it has for returns, and how it has for credit cards, and that's how it goes. So the total cash deposit should be $12,545. And remember, you'll take $200 of that out, and then when you count the rest of that money, it should be $12,545. And if that money is short, then that's something that you have to discuss with the cashier. Because if it's $50 short, $20 short, $10 short, that cashier is responsible for whatever is short in that register. If the money is short, that cashier is responsible for that. And sometimes that cashier will be rolled up, or, something like that, And so that's why we always say that the cashier has a very, very tedious job, and it requires honesty, because that business has to have that amount of money come in that store. Okay, so that's how you are able to track and know about your cash register and about your voids. And if somebody voids something, that means they took that money away. So it's going to show you that how much voids you had. It's going to show you the amount of dollars voids you had, but you have to take that money away, and that's how come it's in parentheses, because it is subtracting that. And the credit cards, they have parentheses, because you can't depend on, like the credit card was $1,000 on one account. You can't use that as money. You can't count that, because it's not in money. It's in credit cards. But you will have those amount of credit card money inside of your bank account. You just can't count it as that register being inside of that register, because it's not inside that register. It's inside of credit cards. Okay, so y'all know how that go, and that's how a register tape looks, and that's how you know what was sold in every store. So when that cashier gets through with her shift, every business usually print out this journal case, cashier journal tape is what it called, and it'll show you everything that cashier sold for that day and how much money should be in her drawer. And that's when you count that money to make sure that that's how much money is in that drawer. And if everything turns out okay, she got the right money, you put that money in a deposit bag, and then you put it in the safe or take it to the bank. Okay, so that's how that goes. And if she's short, usually that's when a cashier gets a correction action plan, where they get rolled up or something, and some businesses don't take about 1 or 2 shortness, and that's it, and then you're terminated. So it's very important as a cashier to know what they're doing. Okay, but that's how you track that cashier. Okay, and so it's another thing I wanted to show you is that if you look now, one cashier in the daytime made $12,000, and the other cashier made $17,000 on her shift. Both of them working 8-hour shift. One work in the daytime, one work at nighttime. And one cashier made $12,000 in the daytime, and in the night shift, that second cashier made $17,000. Okay, and what that does sometimes is that shows you that maybe it's more busier at night than it is in the daytime. Okay, things like that you look at, and you say, okay, well, in the daytime, made 12, at nighttime, made 17,000. Maybe night shift is much busier. Okay, reason why that cashier has that, and then you look at it that, okay, maybe this other cashier is slacking a little bit. So you have to keep your eyes out and see if that other cashier is kind of slacking a little bit and ain't doing what they're supposed to do. Okay? But always know that there's some cashiers that's not as honest as they should be. Some cashiers, their friends will come through their line and they won't ring up 2 or 3 items trying to help the friend out, which is messing up the inventory of that business and messing up that business money. It's taking away money from that business. So it's things like that that you have to be careful and be on top of and make sure that cashiers are very honest. Because you do have some cashiers, and some cashiers, now businesses have cameras where they could see if a cashier is giving away some items. But you will have some cashiers, their friends will come through the line and they'll ring up about 10 items of their friends, and the other 5 items they just slide right on through. They don't even ring it up because they just hooking their friend up or they helping their friend out, and they have to know that that's stealing. And they're taking away from the business pocket, and they messing up inventory by letting items go out the door that is going to come up missing doing inventory, because when they get ready to count, they're going to be missing that item, but then the computer is saying that they didn't sell it, and it should be back there, but it's not back there. And that's when you know that employees or the cashier is most likely is involved in theft. So you have to start paying attention to that as well. Okay? So that's all I kind of wanted to tell you about that right there. And then I'm going to go into real quick about liquor. And liquor, I'm gonna go through it real quick, and then you can review it and get an extra feel of what I'm talking about. But when you're talking about liquor, we already talked about how to count liquor. 0.1 liquor bottles, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. You count them the same way you count the cabbage boxes and the cabbage bags or carrots bags. It's all 0.1, 0.2. But let me tell you about liquor. Liquor is when you're in a restaurant, or if you're working at a bar, or if you're working at a club, or you working at wherever you working at that sells liquor. Okay? That sells liquor, and you getting a shot. You're getting a shot of liquor or whatever. Always know that a cocktail jigger. A jigger is a silver measuring cup that's supposed to be measured every time. It's supposed to measure the liquor every time somebody orders liquor. Okay? It's called a cocktail jigger. And every time somebody orders liquor, and inside of a bar or inside of a club or inside of a restaurant or wherever, they supposed to be measured. That bartender is supposed to be measuring that liquor with a cocktail jigger. Okay? And they're measuring it to make sure, first of all, they're giving the right amount and they're not putting too much alcohol in people's drink. And the other thing, the reason why they use it is because it controls inventory. Because if you have to measure what goes inside of a drink. So if you got a bartender just pouring drink, just pouring what they feel like, oh, I have some cashiers told me, I've been doing this for 15 years, so I automatically know when to stop. No, you don't. That's not how that works. Every time somebody pours, it doesn't matter. They'll pour a little bit more in one or a little bit less in one, and not intentionally, but you can't pour the right amount just by just pouring it in there. You can't pour the right amount all the time the way a measuring jigger can. Okay? So a measuring jigger is supposed to be used anytime a bartender is mixing any type of drink. Even if a customer order a shot of gin or a shot of vodka, then that shot need to be poured into the jigger and measured and then poured into their glass. Okay? But you have some bar, that's when you can control your inventory when they're pouring it with the jigger. But if you have a bartender that somebody say, hey, I want a shot of vodka, and they just pour it in there and then, oh, here you go. They probably poured too much or they probably poured too less. Either way it go, it's going to affect your inventory. Okay? So this is how it goes. A cocktail jigger is a shot glass and a measuring cup. It's a measuring cup for bartenders. Okay? And that jigger is a silver little jigger cup. It has an opening at the top and it has an opening at the bottom. And you can flip it over, you know. One part, it goes from a 0.5 to 2.5 ounces. So it goes from a 0.5 ounce to a 2.5 ounces. Okay? And they have lines on those jiggers. Sometimes the lines are on the inside of the jigger. Sometimes the lines are on the outside of the jigger. But it'll tell you what is what. This is a 0.5 ounce shot. And this is a 2.5 shot ounce. And sometimes you'll have to know, because when you're making mixed drinks, it'll tell you need 1.5 of this, 0.5 of this type of alcohol, and you have to use your jigger. And you have to make that alcohol accordingly, like that, okay? Now, the standard size for a shot is considered to be 1.25 ounces or 1.5 ounces, okay? So that 1.25 ounces is just one shot. Usually when people say, I want a double shot or something like that, then you can kind of give them a little bit more of the 1.5, but that's how it goes. But a double shot is really 2 fluid ounces or more. So when people say, I want a double shot, it's usually 2 fluid ounces or more. Okay? But when you're making drinks, it's mostly a 1.25 or a 1.5. Okay? So just know that. Usually when you're making cocktail drinks, like margaritas or whatever type of cocktail drinks you use, the main base liquors are vodka, gin, whiskey, and rum, etc. But those are your basic cocktail liquor mixers. Okay? You use either one of those two. So let's say, for an example, if you're making a margarita in your spot, then a margarita takes 1.5 ounces of tequila. Then it takes 1 ounce of triple sec. That's another bottle of liquor. Okay? And then you use like a 0.5 and squeeze in fresh lime in there. So, but my thing is that the tequila, you use 1.5. You need to have that jigger. And that bartender needs to pour up to 1.5, and it'll tell you on the jigger cup what 1.5 is. And then they'll pour it in the glass to get ready to make the margarita. Then they need to take that triple sec liquor and pour 1 ounce, because that's what it takes to make a margarita. They need to pour until they see on the jigger 1 ounce. Then they pour it inside the cup. But you see, that's how you keep up with your inventory, and that's how you make sure you're not using too much liquor for a drink. And you're not intoxicating people more because you're not measuring. They just pouring. They just pouring. You see what I'm saying? And then when their friends come in, they try to hook up their friends by pouring extra and think don't nobody know. But it does show up at the end of the week when it gets ready to count inventory. because then the liquor be almost gone and you didn't sell that much liquor. Okay, so that's how that goes. So let me show you. You count liquor the same way you count anything else. If it's that right here, that's a 0.5. Down here, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. Okay, that's how it goes. And like I'm showing you that liquor bottle, and that would be a 0.1. Then you 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 is halfway. 6, 7, 8, 9. That's how that goes. Okay? Now, let me tell y'all this right quick. This is a liter. This is a liter. And that's what most restaurants, bars, clubs, and all that, they use liters. Okay? So, 1 liter is 33.814 ounces. 33.814 ounces. This is a liter. That's how much a liter is. Okay? Ounces. So, now that you know that a liter bottle is 33.814 ounces, to make a cocktail drink take 1.5 ounces. Remember, like say this is a bottle of tequila, and they already told us that to make a margarita drink it takes 1.5 ounces. So if this bottle is 33.814 ounces, then how many margaritas can we make out of this whole bottle? So what you would have to do is say 33.814 divided into 1.5 ounces, because that's how much it takes to make one cocktail margarita. That will give you 22.5. So you can make 22 margaritas out of this tequila bottle. Okay? If it was a tequila. And if it was full, and it's one bottle, we can make 22 margaritas out of this bottle. From this bottle. Okay? So we can make 22 out of there. And that's how you do it. But if your bartender is just pouring the way they want it, that's if you're measuring it. That's if you're measuring it. You can get 22 margaritas out of a tequila bottle. If you're measuring it right. If your bartender is not measuring it right, and they just pouring, because I go places and it irks me because I am an inventory specialist. So I know that bartender is messing up the inventory, and that business could have so much more money in their pocket if that bartender was just measuring the liquor. I see them all the time. So what I'm trying to say is, you can get 22 margaritas. You can make 22 margaritas out of that one tequila bottle. And if your bartender is just pouring freely how they want to pour, you'll wind up, you probably won't get about 10 margaritas out of this liquor bottle, because they're pouring too much in other drinks. Therefore, you can't make the amount of money. Because let me tell you, if the bartender was measuring and they can get 22 margaritas out of this bottle, let's say that the margarita cost the customers, let's say $7. Let's say it costs $7 for a margarita. If you get 22, that means 22 times 7. You can get $154 off this one bottle of liquor. And remind you, these liquor bottles that the company paid don't cost no more than $7 to $8. They probably cost about, I give it $8 is what they paying for their liquor bottle, if that. And they spending $8 on a liquor bottle, and they can make 154 off of this one liquor bottle. And if you take off, you know, what they spent for it, their profit will be $153. So you spend $8 for the bottle, and you can make $153 off of the bottle if the bartender measures with the jigger right. Okay, so that just shows you how much cashier and that shows you how much that bartender cashier can affect your liquor inventory and your liquor prices. Okay, because if you did inventory and you had a full bottle of this last week, and then you get ready to count your inventory and say the whole bottle is gone, but the computer say you only sold 10 margaritas. So if you only sold 10 margaritas, this bottle should only be halfway. It should not be empty. So if it says you only sold 10 margaritas, then that means that the bartender gave this much away free by doing this right here. Just pouring like this right here. Pouring like this right here. Not measuring. Not measuring. So that mess up your money, your profits, and your inventory when a bartender does that. So that's all I kind of wanted to touch base with you on the alcohol, so now everybody know. But you count alcohol the same way we was counting milk. You count it the same way, and you track it the same way, just like I told you. You know that it takes 22 margaritas. Say if this was a tequila bottle, it takes 22 margaritas to complete this whole bottle. So when you do inventory and this bottle is gone or this bottle is empty, and you look at your register tape and it said, oh, well, you only sold 10 margaritas this week, that bottle shouldn't be gone. That bottle should be halfway. But if that bottle is gone, then you have to have a talk with your bartender and tell that bartender, hey, you are pouring too much in people's drink. Or maybe your friend came and you just hooked your friend up with a couple of free margaritas. Either way it go, the inventory gonna tell on you and the bottle gonna tell on you. Okay? So that's how you track liquor. And it's the same way. And when you come to beer, you know, we already talked about that. We talked about the beer, and we talked about you count beer individually the same way you count ketchup, you know. But I had to tell you about the bartender thing with the liquor, because that's how you track. You'll go to your inventory and it'll show you. When you get ready to do inventory at the end of the week, it'll say sold 10 margaritas. Well, you know that your bottle should be about half full because it sold 10. If it said y'all sold 22 margaritas, then you know the bottle should be empty or gone. Or you know it's going to say you sold a bottle. But if it doesn't say you sold a bottle, it don't say you sold 10 margaritas and you're missing a bottle of tequila, then, and it don't say that they rung up no shots of tequila, then you know that something is wrong. That bartender is either using too much liquor in the drinks by doing this right here, or they giving the liquor away, you know, to their friends. They hooking their friends up with shots and making their friends 2 and 3 and 4 free margaritas. Stuff like that you have to watch, but I just showed you how to do that. So that's it. Tune in for the video coming up next with me and Jay. Like I told y'all, on Wednesdays, the inventory video comes out. And on Wednesdays, the inventory video comes out. On Sundays, the video comes out with me and Jay. Okay? So that was our process of talking about the cashiers, the cash register, the liquor, and the liquor tracking. and the liquor and the bartenders, okay? So I gave you all that today in one. I'll see you next week. And next week we will talk more about really tracking the inventory with all your walkthroughs, what you have to do, okay, to make sure you got that down pat. But anyway, I'll see y'all next week. Thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Come on, y'all, subscribe to our channel. But anyway, y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.